Should you go to film school? That's a question that only you can truly answer. However, I'm going to do my best to share my insights with what I have learned from people that have gone and have not gone, and from my own personal experiences on the subject matter, because film school can be extremely expensive, almost too expensive, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to work in Hollywood or make the videos that you even want to make to begin with. So that's why this is an important topic, one to talk about. So let me share my background. I always wanted to make Hollywood movies ever since I was a little teeny toddler in diapers, if you can imagine it that far back. It's true. So that was always my end goal. It was always to go to film school and then make big blockbuster movies like Jurassic Park or the next Batman movie. That's what got me stoked on making movies, on creating. So I went to film school at Brigham Young University, or BYU. It's based in Utah. And it's not like this huge film school, but they have a film department that I personally thought and feel, and I still feel to this day, is a super great program. Now, BYU, they're not focused on all the technical stuff. It's a lot of theory-based stuff. And a lot of what filmmakers do, as far as people that are actually working in the industry creating movies, it's very technical. So a technical school, though, was significantly more money, so I couldn't justify spending that much money. The reason I wanted to go to film school is I was learning everything I could on my own. I was doing whatever I could online, offline. I was taking classes locally. I was going to the community college nearby that had a couple of film classes. I was trying to learn as much as I could about film, but I felt I needed more education, and I wanted to be paired with other people that were just as passionate about film as I was. And I was in Portland, Oregon, and there wasn't a lot of filmmakers. I really didn't know of any filmmaker except for a couple of friends, and was all just doing it out of the passion. So that was one big reason for me even going to film school to begin with. Now, the reason I moved to Utah to begin with was to go to BYU to make movies. Now, some movies that have come out of that college are Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, movie Saints and Soldiers. So there's a lot of really big scale films, or at least films that people like, that have come out of there. So I always wanted to go there, and a lot of my friends were going to that college as well, so it was a good opportunity to grow and to learn. Now, I went to film school for 3 years, not 4. I actually dropped out my last year. For all you watching, the most important thing that I'm gonna tell you about film school or not film school, at the end of the day, anyone within the film world, and there's a couple exceptions, but not really. Throw away all the exceptions because they're not really true. They're not going to hire you because you have a diploma, as far as the film world goes. They're going to be hiring you because the work that you've created and the reputation you have because of what you have created. And if you know a guy, basically that's what it comes down to. If you have a friend that's in the business, that makes it a little bit easier as well. But anyone that I work with professionally, not professionally, I've never asked to see their diploma. It's always been about what's the last piece of work you've done, or what's some of the best work that you've done. Both of those are good answers, and that's what I'm looking for. And anyone I've worked with, it's been the same exact story. Any client we've worked with around the world, it was all based off of the work that I had done. It was never about, did you graduate film school? Filmmaking, it's an art form. It's not about a piece of paper, so that's what they're gonna wanna see, is what was the last piece that you've created, the last art, the last narrative, the last documentary. That's what's so important. So for me, film school, what I gained from film school is networking. Networking for me was huge. Now, they didn't teach a whole lot about social media, like the things I make a living doing now within the film world. They didn't teach that at film school at that time because it was so new. There was one class that went into it, but nothing like what I'm doing now. So for me, it was all about networking. So a lot of the people I still work with today, as far as different freelancers, those all came from going to film school and finding people just as passionate as I was and networking that way. Another big thing I got from film school is a reel. A reel is a piece that filmmakers put together to show off their work. So that was another thing I came out of BYU, is I worked on so many different projects that I had a lot of work to show. Now that work now, doesn't give me jobs or opportunities, but starting out it at least gave me the credibility to get more options for more videos to shoot, and it did significantly help get my name out there. Also, what film school did for me is it gave me the opportunity to shoot on film, on 16 and 35 millimeter, and very expensive camera equipment that I could never afford or talk someone into letting me borrow. Film school, it gave me those opportunities. The cameras that we're using now, the Red Dragon, I originally learned how to film with the Red camera, not the Red Dragon now because that wasn't out back then, but it was the Red one. So I had the opportunity to learn on that camera. Now there's a ton of projects that are constantly being shot at film school. I tried to film as many projects as I could possibly be involved with. And originally, when I was a freshman in film school, I was saying I'll do anything. I was doing craft service, I was doing costumes, I was doing all these weird things you would never think that I would do, but I was doing it just so I could get my foot in the door. I didn't care what it was. If it was cleaning the toilets, I would gladly do it, and I did gladly do that. Not gladly, I wasn't stoked about it, but I did it. I remember doing craft service and like cooking hamburgers for the entire crew just to get my foot in the door. Now, another awesome thing that film school does for filmmakers is it teaches you a lot of different roles so you can kind of learn what you think you're going to be good at. For me, I always thought and planned on being a cinematographer or director of photography is what they call it in the film world. My plan was always to be behind the camera, never be a director, never the person calling the shots. So I went in with that mentality, and oddly enough, now I direct, edit, produce everything else. But by going to film school, I got to work with all these different people in these different categories so I can learn their jobs as well. And honestly, going in as a cinematographer, that gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of different directors, a lot of different filmmakers, so I could learn from each of their styles and see what I liked and didn't like. So when I was able to become a director, I could take all that knowledge and apply it to what we are creating or what I'm creating. So that was another big thing with going to film school, is I could learn all these different techniques from so many different people. Now, to get into the Brigham Young University film program, it's actually pretty hard. They only have so many spots that they accept every year. I think at the time it was about 30, it was either 30 or 60 people that they would accept, and they would reject over half the people that were applying. So I was terrified to apply because I did not want to get rejected, and they'll only let you apply twice. After the second time, you can never be a part of the film program. They want you to focus on something different. So I applied my first time. I spent the entire year working on every student project, I kid you not, and I made sure my application was perfect. And I had like 10 different people review it. I met with all the different faculty, and the day came to find out if I got accepted. I got rejected, and I actually cried. Like, I was so devastated, and it was like a severely traumatic experience because I was so set that there's no way they could reject me, but I got rejected. But that was good because it taught me the value of being rejected, because that made me want to try even harder. And then that next year I did everything I could to get in the film program, and I did get in the second time. There's a lot of rejection as well and getting approvals that you're learning in the film program. With that being said, I worked my butt off the entire time I went to BYU, and I would take other classes as far as general education, taking science, math, all that stuff, but all my focus was on film. I was doing everything I could to pursue that. Now for my senior project, I went to pitch it, and basically they call it a 419. It's the big, essentially your thesis of everything that you've learned in film school. You basically do the video that you want to make, that you want to represent you, and you pitch it to the film faculty to get approval to do the next big film that you want to do, and you do that while you're at film school to give you bigger opportunities. So I got my team behind me, and at the time I didn't really have a team, but it was my friends that I went to film school together with, and I did my pitch, and it was something I was really passionate about. We went and we pitched that to the faculty, and guess what? I got rejected. And that hurt because I had spent the last 3 years doing everything that I could to get into the film program, and I'm like remembering the memories right now, and it was very hard. I went in a couple of days later to talk to a couple of my teacher mentors asking why I got rejected, and a big part of it came down to it was too ambitious, and another big thing was, and then you haven't seen this side of me fully, but I was really quiet during film school. I volunteered and was a part of everything, but as far as like being a director, that terrified me because I didn't think my voice mattered, and I thought everyone else's voice was far more important than anything I had to say. So when it came time to pitch my Fort 19, I did do it confidently, but I was relying too much on my team to carry that weight because I thought their voices were going to be far more important. And that was one of the reasons why I got turned down. My voice wasn't strong enough. And to have a voice is one of the biggest things for the best filmmakers. And they wanted to make sure I had learned that or was willing to learn that before I went in to pitch my 419 again. So it was severely traumatic once again. That was my last semester at BYU, not because I got rejected. After that though, I got an opportunity to move to Hawaii, so I literally dropped out of film school to make a documentary in Hawaii. I did that for a year, and that's when my whole YouTube channel took off. And what was so cool about that is it was amazing learning all this stuff at film school, but once I was forced to go to Hawaii, I was the only filmmaker out there, so I couldn't count on all these other filmmakers that I'd always lean on. I was forced to speak for my own self and say, hey, I have my own voice. And because of those teachers, because they were willing to reject me and tell me that, I could work on myself and not as a team. And for me, I felt that's when I learned the most about myself and about my potential. That is my experience with film school. Kind of to wrap up that story though, as far as being rejected, a year later, I actually went back to BYU and I talked to the professor that had given me that feedback, and I just thanked him for being honest with me, for rejecting me. And because of that rejection, I let him know, like, now I am doing something I love to do, and now I have a voice, and now I believe and I'm fully confident that what I have to say matters and will make a difference. So it all comes full circle. And then I actually was asked to teach a class on social media at the same college that I dropped out of. Woo! So I said yes. I was actually stoked on that. So I taught at BYU for a year on social media. It was just amazing leaving the college because I didn't have at that time what it took, learning on my own, and then coming back, and then I was able to give back to the school, back to the students, and teach that class on social media. And I got asked to teach it again, but because things just blew up essentially in a good way on YouTube, I didn't have the time to focus so much on that. Should you go to film school? It really just depends on your personality and what you want out of the experience. Now, in this day and age, it is all about your work. If you can start right now on your own and create amazing content, you're gonna get noticed. It happens all the time, and it happens non-stop all the time. For anyone considering being a filmmaker, it's gonna be far more important for you to learn about life and all the different experiences life has to offer, because those are what make the best storytellers. Once you know that, then pick up a camera and start telling those stories. But don't think film school is gonna make you this amazing filmmaker if you don't have all this experience as far as life, because filmmakers, they tell stories about life that connect. So know that as well. But this day and age, there's so much information out there that you can get on a computer and learn so much the same things you can learn at film school. However, with film school, you get a lot of networking and get to meet a lot of different people and amazing people. Without film school, I don't think I'd have a career on social media for sure. Even though I didn't teach social media, they connected me to the right people. The person that got me into social media to begin with, Jeff Harmon, he was actually my roommate while going to film school, and he wasn't going to film school, he's going for marketing, but we were able to collaborate and make bigger things happen. When you go to film school, for those that decide, just know it's all about what you put into it and all the connections you're able to make while at film school. So just take advantage of it. There's so many variables, but I wanted to share what I've learned about the experience. I have no regrets with going to film school. I think it's important to get as much education as you can, but I did not complete film school, and I was still able to make a living And a lot of the people that graduated from film school are a lot of people that I hire now for a lot of our shoots. So everything comes full circle. Know that you don't have to graduate film school or go to film school to be successful, but it does help with networking, and it's all about how driven you are to make things happen. Thanks so much for watching. Over and out.
Yeah, wham, bam, super tramp. And I tipping up my hat while I boost the fans. And I hover up top, can you feel the noise? All the girls scream now cause they want the boys. Yo, making all the clouds looking like a big joke. When I run so fast and I sing so low. And you never wanna mess with me, you're just dissing me. I just set me free, so just stop.